Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to present to you Mr. Jason Agnoli. Jason, thank you for joining the Perspective Pray Show. How's it going, man?
Hey, I mean, it's going good, and thank you, Mike. It's been good morning so far, and it's even better now that I'm on the show.
Oh yes, it's a pleasure to have you. But a person like you, you're at Penn State. You're doing so many great things. It's just amazing to read everything that you're doing based on your resume. You have a passion for racing, golf, and of course, your team, Penn State football. So before we go from the beginning, do you feel that Penn State, this football team, do you think that they will win under James Franklin at some point?
It's a hot topic, kind of like, is he the coach? And I think he will. Like, what he's built, the consistency is what inspires me. Like, we're always there, we're always in the talk. And especially now, we've just been improving year after year for like the last 4 years. Every year I've been here, it's only gotten better. Um, of course you're gonna have like the haters and the people that say, oh, we need a change, we need to win now, this isn't enough. But I'm a believer. I'm a Franklin fan. Some of my friends aren't, but yeah, I think if it wasn't this year, next year just as good, maybe a better chance.
Well, best of luck. I feel that there's certain coaches and players, they suffer for so long that I feel that at some point they finally will see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope that it happens for him. Look what happened to sorry to bring the rival Ohio State. Look what that coach has gone through. He's received a lot of criticism, and now he finally reached the mountaintop. Hopefully that happens for James Franklin at some point. But Jason, when did this whole start? This passion for sports? When did you knew that you wanted to do this?
Well, I guess you could go all the way back to when I started golfing. Like I started golfing really when I was four, just like hitting golf balls, like little foam and plastic golf balls across my front yard. Eventually I outgrew the front yard and I started going to the driving range, started wanting to play on a golf course. I really started taking it seriously when I was 8 years old. I actually got a set of clubs and I would go and try and play golf. I did some junior tournaments like the USGA Kids Tour. I wasn't any good, but I loved to play, so I kept improving, kept playing, played all the way through high school. If you would ask me in elementary school, like, what do I want to be? I would have said pro golfer. Um, so even though I wasn't good enough to like make it into college on scholarship or play on like a junior tour or something like that, I still love to play the game. I still love to talk about it. I still keep up with golf. So I guess that's like the very first time I've done it. The racing also, I guess, comes from my dad a bit. Golf, not so much. My dad, he had to learn golf to like go on work trips and play golf. He just learned it because he had to. Me, I kind of had more of a passion for it. But racing was one of his passions. He always paid attention, IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One, and I really picked up Formula One in high school. I never missed a race from 17. Like I watched all of them. Um, and then now bringing that into a career, I thought, well, in high school, I thought I love racing. I love watching racing. How do I get involved? This is such an interesting sport. It's like worldwide. There's so much that goes into it. There's so many jobs. At first, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. And then I took AP physics in high school. I was like, definitely not. So I shifted my focus. I'm like, what other jobs are there? I'd rather work with people than the numbers. And I marketing major at Penn State. And now I'm setting myself up to go into partnerships or client services for sports and live events, which is what racing is. It's just a big live event that travels different places every week. So to answer your question, that's kind of it really started with golf. And then now as a fan of racing, I mean, we'll hopefully turn that into a career pretty soon.
How did you implement marketing into sports? Because I know you're majoring in marketing and I believe minor in economics. So how does marketing play a factor into sports?
It funds a lot of it. Your obvious revenue for like teams is ticketing, but most of their money comes from media and sponsorships. You go to a baseball stadium, impossible to avoid an ad sign. Like even Little League, you go to watch like 8-year-olds playing on the fence, there's like ad boards for like local body shops and hair cutters and stuff like that. So marketing fund's a huge part of sports, and it's only become more crazy in the past few years. Like the NHL, now they have helmet sponsors, or the MLB, they got patch sponsors on their jerseys. Um, it's really taken off and gotten bigger with social media too. Now that's another avenue. Like somebody posts a highlight clip from the NBA game, right? It doesn't just have to be a highlight clip. It could be like the all-state all-star shot of the week, you know? So there's a lot of money being spent and it's all to help brand promotion of all different brands because people love to watch sports and associating with their favorite team really helps. And that's kind of how the marketing side fits into sports.
So you got to intern at the U.S. Golf Association. How was that experience like? Did you get to interact with any golfers or got to see any golfers up close? How was that experience?
Yeah, probably the coolest thing was I was at the US Senior Open this year up in Newport, Rhode Island. And I was working with, ticketing and credential teams. So I was doing all the player guest credentials that day. And walks into the office is VJ Singh, former world number one, the only guy to really dethrone Tiger during his early 2000s run. And he needed like a new guest pass or something. And he walks in, looks at my boss, is like, "Hey, do you do guest pass?" And my boss is like, "Great, Jason will help you." And he looks down at me, like he like does a double take. He's like, "How old are you?" I was like 21. He's like, "Wow, you're gonna get carded to your 50. You look like such a young face. Like, you can't go out to any bars. You better not lose your ID." Like, it was kind of funny, but as a golfer, those are one of the people having that interaction, just seeing like, oh, it's a regular guy too. He was really nice about it. And that was probably a highlight. But yeah, no, the USGA, they make the rules of golf. They host their own tournaments. Um, Most famously the US Open, both men's and women's, but also a ton of other younger amateur lower level tournaments too. Like I did the US Kids Golf Tour. They do a lot for the game of golf.
Who's your favorite golfer?
Right now, you know, it's kind of tough. I mean, Bryson is cool, but I don't like that he doesn't live. He went to Saudi League. Hopefully they merge pretty soon because he's like the scientist. He made all his irons the same exact length so he could have the same swing every time. He would like check his golf balls. I don't know if you've heard of this in salt. Like he would
Mhm.
put salt in a bucket with water and then float the golf balls to see if they're centered correctly. Like he's like a mad scientist of the game. Every part of his game is like perfectly calculated, and that's so interesting. You don't really see golfers go to that level. They say, "Oh, it's not the equipment. I just got to perfect my swing," which mostly is true. Like $100 worth of lessons is way better than $100 worth of clubs. But right now, I just find him so interesting, so interactive. Like, and he's gone on social media and he did this challenge where he had to make a hole in one. Yeah, you've seen it over the house. Like stuff like that is really cool. Great ambassador for the sport. Just too bad he plays in the wrong league.
That was gonna be my follow-up that Bryson DeChambeau is one of those golfers that he's changing the game in terms of using social media like YouTube to, promote the sport, to show more of his personality. And I feel that more golfers in the future are gonna follow his footsteps in that regard.
Yeah, you see, social media is the place to promote yourself. You see it mostly in college athletics because sure, I go play for like Gonzaga on their basketball team. I'm gonna get some views on TV. I'm gonna get notoriety on campus. But where's the money after that? Especially if I'm not going pro. It's on social media. Again, it brings back in marketing. Brands want exposure not just to the fans in the stands. They want exposure to everybody they could get. So a lot of athletes to really build their persona have gone to social media, which I think is great. Like a bunch of F1 drivers did this during COVID. They just went and raced virtually against each other and they like live streamed it on Twitch. Like it's a really deep connection that people could really see. It's not just a personality, or face behind a helmet. It's actually a person. You get, what kind of person they are, what kind of jokes they do, the type of people they hang out with through social media, which is really cool. We've never had this before.
NASCAR or Formula One?
Oh, Formula One.
Joey Logano or William Byron?
I mean, Logano is cool. He's done some winning. Not too much on this year's 500. Byron was that was like his second win, I think. I watch NASCAR. I'm not deep. I would say Byron.
Okay. Best storyline of last year's season: Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters or Bryson DeChambeau winning at Pinehurst?
Maybe I'm biased because I was there for the US Open, but I gotta say DeChambeau because it's the battle between him and McIlroy. Like you had the live golf poster child, mad scientist type of golfer, and then you have Rory from Northern Ireland, P face of the PGA, like very come from the land where golf was invented, basically. And they faced off until the very last hole, and Rory missed that putt. He missed some big shots. And Bryson stepped up on 18 and made that insane, it was like 50 or 60-foot bunker shot to seal the deal. Um, and my favorite part of it is after that Saturday, he stayed on the range, Bryson. He stayed after playing, you go, you warm up in the morning, you play 18 holes, and he stayed after and kept hitting golf balls. The only golfer on the range until dark. Um, I gotta say that was such a cool story to then see that go down and then Rory like lose it in the scorer's room, and it was such a big impact. He took weeks, month off of golf. He didn't come back until like the Scottish Open or the British, and then went to the British Open after that. I don't even know if he played in Scottish Open. Um, I thought that was really impactful. Scotty's cool, but the storyline of Liv versus PGA battling head to head, two former champions, I don't think there's been a better golf tournament since like Tiger 2019 at the Masters.
Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, no, I'm gonna say pancakes. I like the pancakes. Put some butter on that. The butter doesn't absorb the same way into a waffle.
Netflix or Amazon Prime?
See, Netflix has more, but I've used Prime more. Like, I don't know, whatever shows I watch, it's always been more on Prime. Like, there's like a Tottenham Hotspur documentary. I forgot the name of it, but I watched some Premier League and my team's Tottenham, and they did one during the Jose Mourinho era, like behind the scenes in the locker room, like what's really happening with the team. And then another one McLaren did in 2017 with their F1 team, like their preseason building up to what goes into an F1 season. And then you have the Grand Tour, which is the basically Top Gear, also on Amazon Prime. So although Netflix is a cool streaming place, I've used Prime so much more. Gotta go Prime.
Last but not least, top three travel destinations you would like to experience, but for a sporting event.
Oh, for a sporting event? Well, one of them is gonna have to be a Premier League game. I want to go to Tottenham. I want to go, to Old Trafford. I want to go to the Emirates. Like, I want to go to England and actually sit in on a game. So that's one. Two has to be Monza. Probably one of the most passionate fan bases in F1. The way they flood the track for Ferrari is insane, especially during a Ferrari win. The whole town like loses it. And I've only seen videos of how cool it is. I wish I could be there one day. And a third one, there's so many other cool sports places. Like baseball in Japan is so interesting. Um, you could go to like a historic place like Laguna Seca, even though they don't have big crowds or environment. Laguna Seca is such a cool environment. But I'd say one place I've never been that I still want to go to is Daytona, Daytona International Speedway. Never been there. I heard it's really cool, just as cool as Indianapolis. So yeah, those are my three right now.
Great, great. And I definitely want to experience a Daytona race up close. So that's something that's definitely on my bucket list. But Jason, you are the podcast co-host and content creator of Lights Out latest podcast. How did that come about? And what is it about for the audience to check out?
Yeah, so it's between me and my three friends, Tristan, Steven, and Marina. Marina kind of runs it and hosts it. She like created the podcast and needed to get other F1 fans involved so we could all have the podcast. So we did and we got together. And almost every week, I think we're through 62 episodes now. We're doing it over a year now. We recap the latest F1 news. We do some F1 content. But the coolest part that I never thought I would ever do is the short form stuff. Like if you go on our Instagram, like I do Tech Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I explain some piece of tech from Formula One, like how do the brakes work? What is downforce? What is DRS? Wait, F1 cards are hybrid. Why are they hybrid? So that's been a lot of fun. We also did some like man on the street interviews, which honestly I'm not a huge fan of because if I'm walking to class, I don't want to be stopped for a question about sports. But some people really do. So I've done that before, which I never thought I'd get to do. But it's been a lot of fun to, meet three other people who also watch racing and be able to just talk and debrief about them. It's been a ton of fun, especially on campus here at Penn State. Like they have like podcast studios you can use, and even if we don't use it, we could just zoom it in. But it's been a lot of fun.
And speaking of that, you're teaching introduction to Formula One at Penn State, which I thought it was really cool. So when I saw you posted on LinkedIn, I reached out because there was just something about the sport that made me want to start following it. Obviously, I started following NASCAR a few years ago, but but I'm a person I like to be versatile. I like to learn about other sports. So then me reaching out to you was the start of me following Formula One, and it's been a learning lesson for me. So I started following the Formula One YouTube channel, Sky Sports One, and just anything that I could get my hands on and learn about the sport. So how's that going so far? Teaching introduction to Formula One.
Yeah, it's funny. It's through a program called Students Teaching Students, where you could apply and teach your own one credit course. So I've been doing that 3 semesters now. I didn't create the course, somebody else did, but he graduated, this guy Chase, and his friend Dan created the course. But yeah, it's a legit course. It's one credit, 40 students. And it's so funny sometimes that, you get people that don't know anything, haven't watched a race at all, just need an extra credit to graduate, to super fans who sometimes there's like rival fans of like rival drivers. I've had to like shut down debates in class before. Um, and then, you get into like chat GPT, like we have an essay in class. Um, and I've straight up had to deal with people using chat GPT to cheat on their essay, which I go from student in some of my classes and teachers clamping down like, oh, you can't do this, you got to do this, that you're under suspicion of AI, like super strict. And I turn around and now I'm the one facing the same problem as a teacher. Um, it's been interesting, but it's been a lot of fun. And F1 is so different than other sports because like in football, you can't reinvent the ball to make it better, right? But in F1, you can build a new car to make it better. So it's not just like the drivers making the difference, it's also the teams that can improve throughout the year that really make it exciting and such a weird sport in a way that you don't see in other types of sports.
Final, where can we follow you and your work?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, you could look me up on LinkedIn, Jace Agnoli. That'll see all the work, everything I'm doing. But if you want to go be an F1 fan, list or learn about F1, the Lights Out Latest podcast is on YouTube. It's at Lights Out Latest on Instagram. We also have a TikTok too at Lights Out Latest. Honestly, if you just go to YouTube or the Instagram that has the whole link tree, you could find us all. So yeah, no, it's it's been a journey. It's been a lot of stuff. I've been trying to just do everything I can to get experience and learn about different areas. And no, I really appreciate being able to talk to you, talk through some of the stuff I've been doing.
For sure, for sure. Thank you, Jason, for joining the Respect and Praise show. Much respect and praise to everything that you're doing. Best of luck on everything. I can't even imagine how it will be like these next 5, 10 years for you. And thank you once again for sharing resources on Formula One. I definitely got to catch up on the latest episodes of the Lights Out latest podcast. So, but definitely I'll be tuning into that. But thank you, Jason, and best of luck on everything.
Yeah, no, same to you. And wait until the season starts. We're gonna have some good news covering the season, watching the races. Right now we're just making predictions, but you know how predictions are. They always go wrong. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and Lewis Hamilton, I'm looking forward to see how he will do this upcoming season.
As a Ferrari fan, I'm extremely excited. He's caused so much pain on the wrong team for so long, but now he's on our side. So maybe this year's the year.